Can you really show everyone everything? Well, first get your mind out of the gutter, but that's what we're going to be fiercely questioning this week with my guest, Ralph M. Rivera. And we're going to be doing it because I tell you, I don't know Ralph all that well. In fact, not at all, really. But from what I've been able to gather from the information he freely makes available to anyone in the world, his content, things like that, I can say that it seems like he is unapologetically himself all the time and always. And that I can relate to and is a man after my own heart in that regard. I think, Ralph, first of all, I guess I should say he is he's one half of the team at websearchsocial.com. He's partnered with his wife, Carolyn Rivera, and he has my blessing. Anybody that works with their wife, I don't know how they do it. I don't know if that's a good indication that you married the wrong person, but I don't know. I guess some people are more apt for that sort of thing than others. But yeah, definitely, me and my wife, that would not be fun at all. Not at all, no. I don't know. Let me know if you guys work with your wives? Let me know. Joey at Fearlessly Questioning. Just quick question right off the top. Do you work with your spouse, significant other? Let me know. It's interesting. Anyways, outside of that, that is not the most interesting thing about Ralph. I just completely admired and related to the way in which he went about his business and just was unafraid to say what needed to be said regardless of the outcome or circumstance. And I think that is a pretty good practice that most of us should be adopting in a majority of what we do. Now, I would say that ultimately there may come a time and a place where, you just might need to hold something back per se, or just don't need to go into as much detail as. But on the whole, it's just, the question that I really want to get after is that making us lose out on something? Are we afraid? And I think that's the problem, is we're trying so hard to be the person that we think people want to be, or that we think will get us to where we want to go, is that we just stop thinking and instead just, really just let the things that are kind of come out. This sounds a little bit abstract, Buddhist monkeyist type stuff, but I think you get what I'm saying, is that you just, you flip the switch off for a second, you shut everything down, and then let's see what happens, what turns itself back on first. And that might be a pretty good way to figure out what it is, that you should be or should be going towards, because, so much of what we hear, if you're plugged into the whole, content marketing stuff online, you'll hear, be yourself, be authentic. And I agree that, there's a time and a place for everything, right? But again, I've built a show around asking people things that they might not necessarily want to hear. So I'm going to push that envelope a little bit further than others. I just don't know that I see people pushing it far enough, because it's like you don't see people having fun a lot, really. And that's, I think, what being yourself is it's like, well, you're going to allow yourself to have fun in whatever you're doing, or if you're able to, at least. And can you make that connection? Can you find something like that and share it in a way that is valuable to people? Obviously, just talking about God knows what for whatever isn't always going to necessarily provide the best results, get business, make your life better in any way, shape, or form. But if you do it in a strategic and in a way in which you are able to have those, allow those things to come out and make those connections, but not in a way that's going to just bore people and turn them off. Even if you do turn them off, that's fine, because that's I guess the part of being yourself. I might be talking out of both sides of my mouth right now, but I guess I get a little tired of the whole people, the movement of we're going to be ourselves until we're not. And movement, because it's like we're going to take it this far and then we're going to stop. Oh, I can't talk about that. or I can't say this way, or I can't have fun like this. I've got to do this because I think when you start having that I have to do this because creep into your head, that's where it's a pretty good indication that you're veering off of the path, the course of being you. And there's nothing wrong with it, I guess. But I would hope that you would be able to find something that keeps you on it a little bit longer and in a way that is a lot more fun and engaging. And we're going to be doing that if you missed the live, or I guess the live conversation with Ralph will be this Thursday, as always, 2 p.m. That's going to be March the 19th. So we would appreciate you to stop by, join us for that as well. But that's going to pretty much wrap up my feelings on being yourself. I did want to take a minute to rant about something. I've thought if I should do this or not. I thought if this would look unprofessional is a strong word, but I can't help it. I want to talk about this because I think this is a pretty good time to do it. A pretty good show, a pretty good topic. But doing this show, I obviously have to juggle a lot of different people's schedules, trying to get people booked, and that's no different for anybody that is doing any type of interview-based show. By any means, I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. However, what I have come across lately, not tons, but lately, one is a rash of people that are unable to fulfill a commitment for whatever reason, and that's understandable. Things come up, things change. But I've had people do it in a way where there's been plenty of opportunity to back out before and just not leave you holding the bag at the last minute. And it's almost like if I didn't ask again, were they really going to tell me and when? And I think it comes down to, let's call it consideration, fearlessly questioning consideration. Again, I understand things are out of people's control, but you can see sort of patterns of things and where they're going, and people just kind of putting off saying certain things till a certain point. And I just am curious at what point, do you get to where it's like, well, I'm going to just do this because I know that it's going to be better for me, and I'm not going to really worry about what happens to the people around me. Obviously, there are different layers and different rings, if you will, of closeness to that, fallout. And some dude that you're going to have an interview with on the internet is pretty far removed from, the things you're going to go out of your way for. But I'm going to just fearlessly question and say, man, listen, I know you got to do what's best for you. But I just can't help but think that there's this lack of responsibility that has just been allowed to kind of go on for, I guess, an embarrassingly long time. And I don't know that I have anything worthwhile to say here other than to just kind of rant and vent myself. But I know a lot of people, and I know most people are very generous and very dedicated and committed, but you do run across a lot of this, I'm going to put myself before everything else sort of thing, and I'm going to rank the things in which I will put myself before. I guess the question that I want to know, maybe from you, is should there not be any sort of delineation between, this person's more important than that? Obviously we have to prioritize things. We only have so much time, and there's only so much we can do. But we can act with the same level of, I guess, responsibility is a good word to things, to where somehow we feel the lack of responsibility in some areas becomes justified. I don't know. It's kind of bothering me. I don't really have full thoughts around it, and this is probably borderline on the most uninteresting rant that I may have gone on. And I hate talking about stuff like this because I do feel it is a little unprofessional. But at the same time, again, what is professional? And I hate that word. It's like, well, listen, this is going on, and why? So I guess, I mean, do you do that to anybody? Do you back out at the last minute because it's easier to back out than it is to figure out something else to where, a better, I guess a solution that maybe would favor everybody, or maybe not everybody, but I feel like the word easy comes into play here, and I just want to know what you're doing that you're making your life easier, but you're making someone else's more difficult. There it is. Took me a little bit, only about 4 minutes into this thing, but I finally got it, and it's that idea that where you've made somebody else's life significantly more difficult than yours at the moment. And by the way, you've made yours actually easier because you've removed yourself, you've backed out of something that you initially committed to. I'm just going to give you, I guess I'll just give you a quick example of why I'm talking about this. So if I have a guest back out of a show, and depending upon where it's at, so you guys know we do the guest rant, and we have the Fearless Files for you where, they answer, what fearless question are they most afraid to answer in their own life or business. So the rant and the Fearless file piece are acquired before the show, usually a week or two, or however, within a couple weeks prior to the show. I usually will get on a quick 10-minute hangout with the guest, and we will go through that stuff. We will get the rant done, we will get the Fearless file taken care of, and that'll be ready to roll. So when I do the event for the Google Plus Hangout, then for the Hangout on Google, that's all ready to go. The video's there, all that fun stuff. It's all taken care of and ready to go. And then obviously the show is scheduled for every Thursday live. And when somebody backs out, and depending upon where that is, if I haven't done a prep, I mean, if somebody backs out that week, and the reason I'm talking about it is I had a guest back out on Monday, and I had to scramble to find a guest. And Ralph was actually kind enough to help me out, move some things around. He made it work. He understood. He does a podcast himself. I should have mentioned that, the Web Search Social podcast. It's a really good podcast. Him and his wife are fantastic together. So then it's like, it's the fact that one, the podcast schedule is delayed for you, so you're probably not hearing this when you would normally hear it. And then I'm forced to cram that work that I would have had scheduled for these commitments that they said they would be up for. Then I have to cram it, and then I'm really ultimately who's hurting is you. I mean, I'm fine with getting it all done. Obviously, my family is a little upset sometimes, but that's not the issue. It's like, but ultimately then the product ends with you, or you're not getting the stuff that you want at the time that I've promised it to you. And I guess maybe that's my responsibility ultimately is, I know I can't really control, people. I guess maybe I could do like a FBI background check before, somebody confirms and if they're going to have any issues. But I guess that's the question that I'm going to leave you with is, are you making other people's life more difficult at the expense of making yours easier? And how often are you doing that, and what for and why? Those are some good questions. And let me know if you work with your wife too. All of those questions I want to know answers to. Email me, Joey at not Jingolan Insurance. You can if you want to buy some insurance and you live in Ohio. Joey at fearlesslyquestioning.com is the email for this right here. Email me those answers. Let's see what happens. I think it'll be a little bit of fun. Of course, as always, we will be back with Ralph. That's going to be this Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I hope to catch you guys there. But until then, I'm Joey Jingola. Take it easy, everybody.